What it is, y'all? Welcome back to another Wistoria chapter. We're so close to catching up, and this is going to be crazy because we've gotten just story after story after story after story. We're so spoiled that I don't know how I'm going to deal with the month by month, because it is a 1 month release. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. It's going to be nuts. The anticipation is going to kill me every single month. But I appreciate all y'all here for it. I see you guys watching these videos. I really genuinely appreciate it. If you guys are enjoying it, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. Let's jump in because we found out last time there is a traitor. There is a traitor somewhere in the tower. And everyone's like, what do you mean there's a traitor? And they're like, well, you see, Serdwin pops in. Not everyone apparently knows Serdwin. She kind of has to introduce herself. And she's like, listen. The gate towers were open at some point, and only a higher mage from the gate could do that. You know, at first we thought maybe the monsters did it, maybe we thought there was some other force, but no. There's only one potential option, and that is some higher force within some higher mage from within the tower actually opened it up. That is it. That there's no other option there. Period. And they're like, you know, it's a good thing that it was kind of broken down. It's a good thing that we thwarted it early, but we got to figure out who this is. And the only people that could do it are our newest recruits. So basically, the 6 that we've known are now, for lack of a better way to put it, our investigative team. They've got to figure out more or less like how this happened. Now, there are a couple other guys they introduce here, Emma Cleaver and Mike Mouse. And these guys, you know, one's for the Dark Faction, one's for the Wind Faction. These are just like new characters that seem like they're going to have some kind of role to play here in this. So far, they haven't had a big role, but like with our main 6, they probably are just, you know, got an introduction that they'll have a little bit more to do later on. But they introduce this idea. They Serdwin says, we believe it to be the Tome of Ruin Goetia. And, which, thank you for that. So, essentially, what they're saying is this is a group that essentially is just been behind the scenes for a long time, has been attempting to do stuff. They said a long time ago, all the Magi were killed. All of them were just completely unalived. Hopefully that doesn't be demonetized. Were completely unalived, and basically, this one person was kind of like left in the aftermath, and so what we're dealing with here is basically a long-standing group. Danmachi fans, this will sound very familiar. That we are now having to deal with. So yeah, and even Will start to catch on. Oh, that dude Headless, he must be related to this. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna guess he is somehow. But anyway. Everyone's basically like leaning on these guys. We're leaning on, I mean, Will obviously, but pretty much everybody here is that is new to the tower, that recently graduated, is now being leaned on and be like, you have to do this investigation. And it is not going to be as easy as you might assume it to be. Because once we get into the investigation, even Liana says here, you'll find out soon enough. This is not going to be an easy task. But you know, some people are lamenting it. Some people are looking forward to it. It's just all out just weirdness. And this is where we finally get essentially, like, we find out all the factions and how they work and all that stuff. So the following day we meet up with Colette, which is really funny. She's essentially on this throne, and these dudes are down here just like praising them. Essentially, I guess she's from a Magia bloodline. She's heiress of some sort. You know, like they're just absolutely losing their minds over her. Like they're basically treating her like the second coming of the Magia Vander. It's really crazy. And she's like, how am I going to be a spy when I'm basically their messiah? This is weird. I'm uncomfortable. It's really nuts. And then we meet up with the Ice faction, which, I mean, Elfie is being Elfie. She's brooding. She's upset. And I love Julius is like, I really wish Will had joined us. Because now all she's going to do is mope. And that's pretty much it. But I love, because Elfie kind of sits up and she's like, no, we got this. We got this. We're gonna go take Will back by force. I'm like, love it, absolutely love it. So the I say turmoil, but the fighting definitely will recommence at some point. And Julius is like, yeah, I chose the wrong faction. Very funny. The elf faction, the wind faction. This one's really interesting. Yeah, and if you remember, Wignall had this weird background with them. He was basically the weakest, had to prove his worth. They even mentioned here in the chapter that he's the only one who just kind of like didn't skip straight to the tower. He's the only one who kind of had to like go by the difficult way. And old girl here basically tosses him this like necklace. And he's like, "Oh, is it a gift?" And she's like, "You think I'm gonna give you a gift?" She's just like, "It's a collar. You are essentially here not by choice. You are here because you've got no other options." And she basically treats him like, I say like a pet, but you wouldn't treat a pet this terribly. It is awful. So he is absolutely in for it. Dude is, I mean, we already know she's not the most benevolent of creatures. I would not be surprised if at some point he's going to usurp her. I think that's kind of what they're leading this to. And granted, I think we know the whole main six are going to be Magi at some point. But yeah, this is. There's only 2 real pages to this, but it is dark. I feel like he's in for it. It's not going to be pretty. The fire faction, the one that I was like, this is going to be rough. And it is. It is. They have a literal trial by fire. You got this dude right here who's just literally unleashing a blaze. And he even says it's a literal trial by fire. And none of you made it. And I love Sion. He stands up. He's like, "Oh, that's what we're doing? Oh, yeah, no. Keep it coming. I can do this all." He goes full cat mode. He's like, "I could do this all day." And dude right here is like, "I see we have a contender amongst us." Yeah. This year's harvest may shape up to be the most bountiful yet. That face from Sion is crazy. Like, I love it. I absolutely love it. But then we get to the Thunder faction. This is the faction that Will wound up joining. And Liana's here. And she even mentioned to Will, she's like, "Just you wait. You have no idea what the Thunder faction is like." She's like, "You are literally not prepared for this, right? This is going to go so incredibly poorly. You just have no idea." And this dude's just making them do laps. He's like literally making them run laps. And they even asked her, like, why are we running laps? Like, we're mages. We're not like barbarians. We're not runners. We're not Usain Bolt. Why are we doing this? Like, Usain Bolt, despite his name, is not a thunder magician. And he's like, "Listen, with physical strength will come the ability to better use your powers." And we did kind of see that with Zio. Like, his magic kind of comes in the form of, like, dare I say, punches and kicks, but kind of sort of like he is able to utilize this magic in such a way because when he physically strikes, he literally imbues his target with the electricity, like, instantaneously. Like, it is just a bam. It's crazy, but it works, and it works really well for him. And so they treat everyone this way. And Will essentially is just like, "All right, cool, I got to keep up with the Joneses. Got it." But Liana literally passes out here. And this dude comes over, and he's like, "Oh, we know about you. You think you're going to come in here and just be like a delicate knight, this, that, and the other thing." He puts his boot on her head, and he's like, "Not under my watch. This is not going down the way you think. You are not here to impress, or you are here to impress us, not the likewise. Get back to work." And Will is like, he literally kicks her in the face. It's pretty brutal. And Will's like, "You know what? This is getting out of hand. I'll do her laps." And he's like, "Cool. All right, give me 100 extra laps. Extra laps, right? Not just 100 laps. You do your 100 laps and her 100 laps." And so Will takes off. And you're like, 100 laps, man. That's brutal, absolutely obnoxious. And he's like, finished. And dude's like, do 200 more. That would make 400 laps, by the way. He comes back. He's like, doesn't even get the word done out. 300. Sends it back out there. Will comes back. You can see he's shaking. Like, he is absolutely 400. And at the end of that, he comes back one more time. And I love... the best part about this to me, the part that is actually really funny about this, but also brutal, you see him slowly, like, at 400. He's setting up a beach chair. Now he's sitting here with literal popcorn and a drink under a sunshade. And he's like, keep going. I could do this all day. Like, hold up. And Will finally breaks down. But what's crazy here, and as hilarious as that is, dude just starts ripping into him. And you're like, this is what they there's no way they expect this out of them. And then you find out, nah, this is not what they expect. They even mentioned that Will has now broken a record. He's done like 1,600 laps. And they're like, that's a record. No one has ever done that. And I love it, because immediately Zio comes out. And he's like, cool, you're worn down? Awesome. Now we spar. And that is where we leave poor Will off. He is about to get absolute, just like the magic is about to just ruin his whole day. It's crazy. But we meet up with the Goetia. We actually get to meet that faction here. And it is wild. Completely wild. And they even talk a little bit about, like the mages hold the key to unlocking the true sky, as they call it. Which we already know. Once that barrier falls, like, it's chaos. It's wild. But obviously that's what they're about. But what's really interesting is they're all kind of wearing a mask of some sort. Like, they even seem to be hiding their own identities from each other. And yeah, they even talk about Headless and all them. They're like, their failure cost us a lot. So yeah. And to make matters worse, they even say down here, they're involved in a completely different plan. They're not even in this plan anymore. They're doing their own thing for whatever reason, that I'm sure we're going to find out much, much later. And he's like, don't worry about them. They're doing their thing. They're going to be fine. We need to unlock the sky. And that's when this person steps out. And just is like, well, I guess what a Goetia wants, a Goetia gets. And I have no idea who this, like, early 2000s emo kid is, but oh my god, this person is a hot mess. Like, take a shower, chill, put your tribal tattoos away. I don't know, can't really put tattoos away, but you get the idea. Like, this person, this is the face of someone who's not all there. This person has got to be entirely unhinged. I get the feeling we're going to find out soon enough. So I'm thinking that, kind of like Headless is kind of crazy. This person must be on a whole different level. So there'll be nothing left of them when I'm done, she says. So this should be interesting. We have a new foe on the stage, and we know that there's a full-on secret organization. I mean, we've known there is, but now we get more of their actual stories. So it should be crazy going forward. But that's chapter 41. We'll pick up at chapter 42 on Sunday. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, stay up to date, and I'll be back with more coming up really, really soon.